This is huge. This is the most important thing I'm going to tell you on this entire broadcast. And that's because that's normal human reaction. If people don't like the price they're being offered, they're not going to listen to anything else and they're going to not be reasonable with you. What I'm going to share with you guys is an easy 7-step process to get to an answer. So the first thing you're going to do, step number 1, we're going to talk about the motivation to move. What's a motivating factor that one of you guys are dealing with right now for one of your sellers? So let's say your seller put their home on the market because they're relocating for work. That's probably some of you are dealing with that motivation right now. The first thing you're going to do, step 1, is talk to them about their motivation. Why are they selling? Whatever it is, we're going to discuss that first. And what's the reason why we're doing that? It's because sometimes people get so focused on fighting or on ego-based, I got to get my price because my house is better than my neighbor. They sometimes forget why they're selling. So we want to bring them back to what they're looking to accomplish. So if they're looking to accomplish moving to another town, if they're looking to accomplish selling one property so that they don't have to carry 2 mortgages, step number 1 is talking about that motivation and why we're even here together in the first place. What's the first thing that people love to tell you when the offer is not where they want it to be? They start to rag on the buyer, right? Most sellers, if they want $650 and the buyer came in at $600, first thing they're going to say is, well, they can't afford it. So step number 2 is you're going to discuss the buyer's qualifications. And I'm going to test you guys to go a little bit further because yes, you have their pre-qual letter. You guys probably know what the lender is saying they can afford, but have you talked to the buyer's agent to find out more about these folks? I typically like to find out, and I'm not asking for like a heartfelt long letter. I'm not saying, they don't need to write you guys love letters and send videos like we did back in 21, but talk to the buyer's agent, or if they're your direct buyer, about their financial standing. How long have they been employed? What do they do for a living? What kind of home are they moving from? And what you want to do is get more information about that buyer. So for example, I'm Lorena and I'm sitting down with my client who is moving to Palm Springs from Dallas. Bob and Sue. So the first thing I want to discuss is you still definitely want to get Palm Springs by July, right? Yes. Okay, great. Now I have the buyer's qualifications and it does appear that they are approved for a $665,000 loan with 20% down. I also got to know them a little bit better. I found out that the husband is an engineer. He's been employed by Raytheon for 10 years. And I found out that the wife is a teacher and she's a tenured Dallas ISD teacher. So you want to get more information about who these buyers are in terms of their financial status. Now, be very careful and hear me loud and clear. We have discrimination laws no matter what state you are in. You are not to talk about people's religion, couple status, kind of marriage arrangement they're in. All you're doing is talking about their financial arrangements to give your sellers a better idea of, can these people afford the property? Now, step 3 is going to be certain markets. Here in Texas, it's not really important, and in New Jersey it was. Sometimes you're going to want to discuss the deposit. How much are they able to put down? Because some properties, especially in higher price points, loans are not going to get approved with only 3% down. Step 4, this is huge. This is the most important thing I'm going to tell you on this entire broadcast. How does every seller look at an offer? Where do they start? You're going to flip the script, and instead of starting at the beginning of the offer, what you're actually going to do when you're describing it to them is start from the end. And why are we doing that? Because we all know that even if you gave your client 20% over asking, they still feel like it's not enough. So what you're going to want to start with when you're talking about the terms is read from the back of the contract to the front. So what does that look like? You're going to start with, okay, well, it looks like the buyer wants to close by April 20th. So that would be well in time for you to make it to Palm Springs in July. The seller is not asking you for any concessions, so you won't have to kick back anything from the price that they're offering you. And the other thing that they're looking for is they're going to pay their own buyer's agent. And then you're so on and so forth. You're going to start with the terms and end with the price. And the reason why you want to start with the terms first is because once they hear price, they turn off. Drop a fire share or a like in the chat if you have ever had a seller that the minute you told them the price, they didn't want to hear shit else. They just, their ears, they turned off. That's it. And that's because that's normal human reaction. If people don't like the price they're being offered, they're not going to listen to anything else and they're going to not be reasonable with you. So that is why you want to start at the back of the contract discussing terms and then end with price. Step number 5 is you're going to go to the net sheet. Now, when I say the net sheet, I want you to be very clear with your clients that this is just an estimate and that there may be other fees included, because you don't want to be telling people that this is exactly what they're going to get. There could be some changes, obviously, but you want to use the net sheet as a rough idea.
Okay, Bob and Sue, you're looking to get to Palm Springs by July, and you were looking to net after paying all fees and your mortgage $250,000. Well, based on the offer that we've received and the terms and price of that offer, it looks like if you were to accept it, you would be just a little bit short. You would be at $230,000.
So what do we need to do to make this offer to where you would accept it? Again, what we're looking to do is keep the conversation going and or to get this contract signed. Number 6, what you're going to do is review quickly the highlights of the offer. So what are the good points of the offer? Here in Texas, a good point would be buyers paying for title. We don't see that very often in this market today. A highlight would be they're choosing to pay their buyer's agent. That could save them 3% on $650,000. We're not talking about chump change. That's almost $20,000. You want to, step number 6, review quickly the highlights of the offer, the things that are good about the offer. And then obviously, number 7, you're going to ask them, so how do you feel about moving forward with this offer? And what do you think every seller is going to say? If you have gone through all of those steps, most sellers are going to say something like, do you think we could get a little more? What do you think we should counter at? And do you see how it went from, if you would have just sent them the contract and said, here you go, they would have given you the bird to you and told you, yeah, no, thank you, this offer stinks. 2, if you follow this 7-step presentation with them, you can actually get a real conversation going to where you either receive a counter that they want to give, or maybe they even just decide, you know what, I'm tired of being on the market, I'm ready to go, let's sign it.